At 11, as the Trump administration eyes Greenland, some local residents with ties to the country are skeptical.
So I think it's more puzzled about what exactly the purpose is.
Plus, in Minneapolis, a possible escalation by the federal government to include the military.
We will not be intimidated by the actions of this federal government.
And back in Portland, a service honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
His teaching and his leadership that, our state and our country needs so much right now.
Thanks so much for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. President Donald Trump announcing new tariffs this weekend. The targets, countries that have expressed opposition to the U.S. taking control of Greenland. The European Union held an emergency meeting today in response to the president's new tariff threat. The EU saying in a statement today the president could undermine transatlantic relations. Jay Coulter has the local reaction.
So Greenland is a territory of Denmark, and we heard from a Danish American who says Danes he's talked to are puzzled by this escalation, as well as dissent at a town hall Sunday.
Oregon needs a focus on grocery prices, not Greenland.
At a town hall in Clackamas County, objection to the idea of the U.S. taking control of Greenland.
By disregarding even the laws that are in place, faulty as they are, just because we want our own security interests or economic interests, is absolutely not in the long-term interests for U.S. citizens.
President Donald Trump increasingly making it clear that he wants the U.S. to own Greenland, writing on Truth Social Saturday that, quote, China and Russia want Greenland and there is not a thing Denmark can do about it. Only the United States of America under President Donald J. Trump can play in this game. He also announced he would charge a 10% tariff on Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, France, Germany, the UK, and the Netherlands because of their opposition to American control of Greenland.
They're objecting to the idea of trying to force an empire. And that's what Donald Trump is trying to do, and there's going to be great opposition, and I'll join it.
I was in Denmark over Christmas, and people there feel surprised and shocked and puzzled by the entire situation.
Brady Jensen is the board president of Nordic Northwest, a nonprofit focused on preserving Nordic culture in the PNW. He says the confusion lies in the fact that the U.S. already has access to Greenland.
The United States already has treaty rights that allow it to expand its military presence in Greenland. We can accomplish what the president says are his objectives without straining the relationship.
But Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Meet the Press says he thinks it's in America's interest to take full control of Greenland.
I believe that the Europeans will understand that the best outcome is for the U.S. to maintain or receive control of Greenland.
Jensen argued for self-determination.
Both Greenland and the Danish government believe strongly that Greenland is for the Greenlanders, and it is up to them to decide where their future lies.
Trump added that the tariff rate would increase to 25% on June 1st if no deal for the U.S. to purchase Greenland was in place. Back to you.
Well, the U.S. already has a trade framework agreement with the EU, capping tariffs at 15%. For the United Kingdom, it's 10%. It's unclear if the new tariffs would void that deal or be in addition to those rates. Developing in Minneapolis, the Pentagon has put some active duty troops on prepare to deploy orders in case the president seeks to send them to Minnesota, according to two U.S. officials. Last week, President Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in response to protesters in Minneapolis. The city's mayor pushing back on the federal government's escalation of law enforcement.
This act was clearly designed to intimidate the people of Minneapolis. And here's the thing. We're not going to be intimidated. If the goal here is safety, we've got many mechanisms to achieve safety. And the best way to get safety is not to have an influx of even more agents, and in this case, military, in Minneapolis.
The White House Rapid Response says, quote, the Trump administration is not going to surrender to the radical left and let Minneapolis get back to rampant fraud, theft, and sanctuary for criminals. All right, turning to our weather here locally, it certainly hasn't been feeling or looking like mid-January the last couple of days. Right now, We're standing at 7 days without any measurable amounts of rain, and that streak is going to continue over the next week. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri has more on when we could see that wet weather coming back. Joe.
Well, there's going to be more of the same, and that means cold nights with temperatures right around the low to the mid 30s. A few locations outside of the city in the central and southern part of Willamette Valley could be looking at a hard freeze. We'll also see some areas of frost. Clear skies overnight. Next, another dry week ahead. John, we could be looking at another stretch, maybe 7+ days in a row with no measurable amount of rain. In fact, we're not going to be seeing a drop this upcoming week. Looking at our next chance at rain, potentially a little more than a week away. Some models are showing a week from Wednesday is when we could be seeing some rain move through. As we look at the map, we have that ridge of high pressure. We got some areas of fog and the potential of seeing some freezing fog east side of the state. Those low clouds will burn off late tomorrow afternoon. Meanwhile, throughout the coast, the valley and the Oregon Cascades, it's going to be nothing but clear skies for tomorrow. In downtown Portland right now, from our Pioneer Park building camera, clear skies with a temperature of 39 degrees. You'll notice the cold temperatures, obviously, but you'll also notice the winds that will be picking up the next couple of days. They're coming out of the east about 13 miles an hour. A few locations, the closer you get into the east side of Multnomah County, you'll be seeing some very intense wind speeds. We have that air quality alert throughout central Oregon. We also have the air stagnation advisory that's in effect until the middle part of this week. I'll talk more about your detailed forecast and just how warm things will be getting the next few days coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. Some counties in the region have opened up warming shelters due to the overnight temperatures in the forecast. That includes Living Hope Church in Vancouver and the Father's Heart in Oregon City. There are also overnight warming centers in Salem, Dallas, and Woodburn. Thresholds have not been met in Multnomah County, which requires forecast temperatures at or below 25 degrees and or some combination of rain, winds, and snow. Portland Fire and Rescue are asking people to stay warm safely after a Lloyd District restaurant was damaged by fire today. Firefighters were called to the Red Robin on Northeast Grand, where they found a fire burning along the exterior wall and spreading inside. They were able to put it out before it could spread outside to the sprinkler system. The building fire started after a warming fire at a homeless camp spread out of control. New tonight out of Woodland, Washington, a motorcyclist is dead after he lost control of his bike. It happened around 1:30 this afternoon on I-5 near exit 21. Washington State Patrol says the rider, a 60-year-old man from Mossy Rock, hit a barrier and was flung from the bike. The crash impacted traffic for about 2 hours. An alert for people in the city of Amity. There is a boil water notice in place, and the city is asking water customers to conserve wherever possible. The notice is a precautionary measure after multiple parts of the city lost water pressure when demand outpaced supply. The city is now working to increase production at the water treatment plant. Until pressure is fully restored, people are asked to conserve, and the water will be tested every day until it's safe to drink again. In Clackamas County, firefighters were called to put out a mobile home fire. It happened around 7:45 this morning on River Road. Firefighters got the fire under control within 10 minutes after making sure no one was inside. One person was hurt and the homeowner was displaced. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Well, it's a chance to raise a glass at a local bar one last time. After tonight's shift, Interurban on North Mississippi will close its doors for good. The business opened back in 2011. In a social media post, the owner said they face the same issues that led other businesses to close. Talking to us today, he says the community has been amazing in showing their support since they announced the closure.
It's so cool to spend time here and have just people coming out of the woodwork and be able to hang out and hear people's memories about the place and what it meant to them and how it changed their life.
There is no immediate plan for the future, but Hart owns the building and has some ideas on what to do next. They close tonight for good at 1 a.m. Local leaders and members of the community gathered in Portland this afternoon to celebrate the life of Martin Luther King Jr. We spoke with Mayor Keith Wilson, who attended today's ceremony and shared why King's message is still important today. In North Portland on Sunday afternoon, members of the community came together to remember the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In attendance, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek and Portland Mayor Keith Wilson. Wilson says the civil rights leader's message is still relevant nearly 60 years after his death.
But nonviolence didn't work just in 1960s, but it works today.
Wilson says the city of Portland embraced King's values in 2025 when faced with the possibility of a National Guard deployment to the Rose City.
What we did as a community is we rose up. We joined arms together. 50,000 of us protested and marched downtown.
The service is held annually at Vancouver Avenue First Baptist Church, the only church Dr. King visited when he made his only trip to Oregon in 1961. After the service, Wilson called on Portlanders to help those living on the streets, saying it's something Dr. King would have done.
Go up and help the person up and ask what they need, because the services are there for you to be the Good Samaritan that Martin Luther King really promoted. It's time for us to no longer walk by those most vulnerable, to be the solution to Portland that we all want to see.